Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Palate Cleanser Podcast, the offshoot podcast to the Film Rescue Show, where we discuss movies that do not suck and that we don't need to do incredible fixes to make into decent films. With me are my co-hosts, Jesse.
Yeah, hello.
Seth.
I'm suffering from asparagus pee.
I'm actually very glad I'm not over there right now because it probably smells terrible.
No. And Seth, where can we find the Film Rescue Podcast if our listeners are not familiar?
Oh, if you're not familiar, I don't know how you got here, but you can check us out at Film Rescue Show on Twitter, and we're on all major streaming sites. Just check out Film Rescue Show.
I love the inference that my podcast only exists in the universe of your podcast.
I mean, I would love for it to not. I would love for you to overtake Film Rescue. That would be incredible.
Yeah, you just want to ride my coattails, you lazy bastard. Anyhow, and we have our very first guest. Popping our guest cherry is my good friend Jay, one of Jesse and Brendan and myself's film school friendos.
Mm-hmm. That was 15 years ago.
When she described her pretentious asshole boyfriend who stood on her car and screamed at the sky.
Oh shit!
I am that asshole.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Matrix Reloaded.
I wasn't medicated at the time, but I was really, really upset.
So my dumb self, I wanted him to listen to an episode of the Film Rescue Podcast before he was on the show, so he knew what the premise was, and I put the only episode that I have been on where I have badmouthed him, and not any of the other episodes where he's come up.
That wasn't bad mouthing. That's just the truth. That's what I did.
No, that's how everybody felt.
I did that. Yeah. Fuck. I'm glad you agree.
Yeah.
I was like, give me that rush again. Let's go. Where is it?
The truth.
They're having sex. Stop. You should be shooting. You should be shooting everything.
But instead, we got orgasm cake.
Precisely.
But today we're discussing a movie that does not suck, and that is a film called Haywire. That was Jesse's submission for the episode. Why did you suggest to us this film, Jesse? Why do you like it?
Because nobody talks about it anymore, and it's fucking fantastic. It's like I honestly think that George Miller, before he did Fury Road, watched this in preparation. Because
I could see that.
This is an action film. Let's say the premise of the film. Basically, the premise is Gina Carano in her first film that she was in her first leading role, plays a sort of a black ops mercenary for a private contractor she's about to retire from the company, and she gets set up by her employer to take the fall for an assassination, and eventually has to track down the people that set her up and basically take them out and figure out why they set her up. Simple premise. It is a little convoluted, but that's kind of the style. This is directed by Steven Soderbergh, who I like. His films, they always tend to be very standard plots, but it's the way in which he tells the story that makes it interesting. Like the Ocean's trilogy, they're very standard heist storylines, but the way he tells it is what makes them interesting.
I would agree with that, and I think the use of not having why can I cannot think of the word for things that are not in chronological order. Man, quarantine is hitting different this week.
Not sequential.
Yeah, sure, that works. Yeah, I always love that as a device when it's used by a good director.
Yeah.
I think it's often used by poor directors to try and hide the fact that they have a weak plot, but in this it really obfuscated the plot a lot. So I didn't even remember this film when you had recommended it, and I'm like, whatever.
It did kind of come and go. It didn't really get as much popularity as it should have because it came out around the same time as the Bourne trilogy. Yeah, so that's why it kind of got kicked to the side, because everyone loves those Jason Bourne movies, and I think the first one is okay. The second one has some nice moments, but god damn, the shaky cam drives me nuts. It makes me physically sick to watch those films. True. But then you look at this, it's the opposite. The best thing about this film is the action scenes, because what's different is that it's all locked off on a tripod. There's no...
I did not realize.
Yeah, there's no shaky cam at all in this entire film. Everything is locked off on a tripod, or it's very steady handheld work.
It's pretty much 100% like 70s inspired cinematography.
Oh yeah, even the soundtrack feels like a 70s crime thriller.
The sound effects are very reminiscent. The sound levels, it's not like super loud like modern films are. And the color palette and filters, lights, everything like that was very reminiscent. Like when I first started watching the movie, I'm like, wait, what year is this from? And I couldn't even place the time period that the film was taking place at first, because I'm like, it looks like one thing, but it's behaving like another. So I really liked that. I liked that it kind of it was fucking with my expectations at first, which is always a fantastic thing to have a film do.
Yeah, it's unique.
I love in the action scenes. This is a really good example of doing the dropped frame on impact to make everything look like it's getting hit really fucking hard.
Yes,
this because it's all done in wides. It looks like people are just getting the shit kicked out of them in every hit. I love it.
And for everybody that doesn't know what a drop frame is, basically you cut a single frame when filming an action scene. Basically, if somebody is punching somebody else, you drop one frame right before impact, so it looks like the fist or the kick is going faster than it normally is. The Raid films have done this. It makes it feel more intense. So, and Jackie Chan did it a lot. It's very, very useful when trying to increase the tension and impact of your action scenes.
Jay, this was your first time viewing it. What was, because you didn't really know what this movie was or what I needed you for tonight. I just was like, watch this movie and we're going to talk about it. What were your initial impressions?
Well, I'll tell you this. You know me to be a very big fan of espionage and spy games.
Mm-hmm.
I chose you for this.
Yeah, and if any of you want to play Spycraft, let me know. I have a free night. But what struck me about it was how fucking mellow it was.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of at a walking pace, and suddenly we're fighting, and and they're almost like, yeah, I'm having to fight. It's just, this thing I do at my job. Wham! Crash. And then it's over, and like the chases aren't really breakneck chases. It's like, oh, they're after me. I'm just going to move over here and hide under a sewer lid, and when they turn around, I'm going to slip out the window. It's very savvy, but it's not like Bourne. It's not like Bourne. And it's not like The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Yeah. It seems like in all those other films, it seems like the moment a fight scene breaks out, immediately the cops show up. Whereas in this, it takes a while for the cops to show up when she's finally been set up.
Did you ever see the movie Free Fire?
Oh, yeah. I love Free Fire.
Yeah. The reason it was set in the 70s, the director said, was that no one could call the cops on their phones so that they would have time to have a firefight without the cops showing up reasonably.
Yeah.
I always complain that a lot of times in cinema we have these characters that are doing these really difficult things with tremendous ease, and that makes it look like it's not, like, you need to at least have a hair move or a grunt or something that indicates that the character is struggling. I love that everything was at a realistic pace, but yet the characters are still doing everything very competently, very unbothered, because that makes for a huge veracity in the amount of realism to me, the belief that these characters are capable of doing the things that they're doing, and they are capable of doing crazy feats of strength and skill.
Yeah. What would a fight scene really look like? What would it look like in reality? This is it. Like this, what would happen if an agent got burned by their own company? This is it. Like it's the opposite of like the Jason Bourne films. It's the opposite of any Michael Bay movie. It's the antithesis of that.
John Wick.
Yeah. Or even like John Wick. It's like, it feels a little bit more over top. If the John Wick films feel more operatic, this is very grounded.
Hardcore Henry.
Hardcore Henry. One of these days I'm actually going to watch that film.
It's on YouTube for free.
Crap.
It's on YouTube for free.
Yeah, I loved it. I hate to admit, it's like junk food. Like, the moment Doritos are bad for you, but
the moment that Queen's "Don't Stop Me Now" starts playing during a fight scene when he throws a guy into a ceiling fan, that was the best sequence ever.
Have you seen the music video
because they could?
Did you see the music video that inspired Hardcore Henry?
No.
Oh yeah.
Oh God! If there's a song called "Bad Motherfucker," and it is basically and it's this Russian song that's like, this is kind of a hard ass song, and like he throws a dog through a window, and it's exactly the same except shorter and a little weirder, because he's trying to get this thing that he's trying to get this MacGuffin that makes you teleport, and so the fight keeps teleporting around to different parts of the world. and then a baby gets it and teleports away, and he doesn't get anything. So it's great.
I think what worked so well for this, and I think part of this is because it's a really nice departure from a lot of things we've seen lately, which have been excessively loud, devoid of style, and having too many special effects and too convoluted premises.
And really high on itself. This movie doesn't do that. It's like, oh yeah, it's not like we're badasses and you're losers. It's like, oh, we're gonna find out why they want to kill me, and I'm going to.
It was very like golden era of spy films. Because when I was growing up, my dad was obsessed with the Bond films. So when I saw what the premise of the film was, I'm like, hey dad, watch this with me, because like normally I don't get to watch our movies with him because they're not good movies. He wouldn't enjoy them, and that's not fair to him. So it was nice to be able to be like, hey dad, let's watch this movie. And at first he was a little like, well, wait a minute, why are they doing that? Who's that guy? But then like as the pieces started to fall into place and things like that, and we're like, oh wait, the ex-husband, oh wow, that was an angle I didn't expect. Okay. And then they make you think that it was a personal thing, but maybe it kind of was, but also it mostly seems like a professional thing as well. And just I love that. And
well, it was a professional thing. Really, it wasn't personal. It could have been both, but it's because she's so good at her job that if she left the company, then Ewan McGregor would have been out of a job because no one would have worked with his company because she was gone. So it's basically like, well, if I get rid of her then and set her up, then it makes my company look good because we can see like, oh, she's the problem. She's not worth hiring, but the rest of my guys, yeah, they're worth it. So it is both personal and professional.
That almost makes him worse in a way, I think.
Oh, he's terrible. He's an awful person. Ewan McGregor plays a great villain. He really does. He doesn't get to play a villain very often.
Yeah, that's true. He's always the good boy. I feel like, a crime of passion is a very typical motive in these type of scenarios. This is a very calculated, plans, like to every degree. Like we don't really see these like very calculated against your romantic partner in films a lot. I can't think of any other real good examples. I mean, I guess there's like the Mr. and Mrs. Smith films, but that's like a totally different type of film, I think.
Yeah. And also that movie is terrible.
I mean, basically everything was going to plan until about halfway through the movie when she doesn't die.
Yeah.
I hate when that happens.
And I think that's why they open where they did in the story, like a little over 3/4 of the way through, because it adds to the suspense of like, so where did shit go sideways? I'm not quite sure yet because everything looks like it's about to go bad. And then when it does, it's very obvious like, oh, now we're there. Okay. Oh shit. All right. Now we're in it.
Yeah. I think this film feels very deliberate in a way you don't see as much recently. I think one big downside why I really don't like shaky cam and a lot of heavy handheld stuff is that, back in the golden day of this type of film, we used to see a lot of very deliberate framing. So you used to see a lot of stuff like in MASH where every scene was very deliberately set up, and they were like in this film they were using bookshelves in a very deliberate framing mechanism.
Yeah. Well, it's also because people could actually do that kind of stuff. They trained for it. Like everybody in this film trained for this movie, as opposed to most action films where they don't get time to train, so they have to use shaky cam to cover up the fact that the actors can't do it.
That is true. Jay, your thoughts?
A, fuck you, I love shaky cam. B, it's just you were talking about how they kind of started in the middle, and I loved that because it piques my interest more when they say, what about Barcelona? He said the job was done. And they don't tell us what this means. They're just let us start to catch on. In the example I hate the most is in the new Sabrina. Like when she runs into her brother, he goes, hey, sister, you're totally my sister. This person's my sister. Hi, sister. You are my sister. Oh, hello, auntie, my auntie. You're my aunt. This person's my aunt. Okay, we get it. I don't ever go up to my brother. Hey, brother, my brother. This person's my brother.
Yeah.
It's really not hard to... What I want to tell every writer is just have them go, how's mom? Oh, yeah. That explains everything so easily. It doesn't sound like a hackneyed exposition. They don't do that at all in this movie.
I like that. That's a very similar line to a line that Seth used in an upcoming film by the title of Goldfish. Starring me as the villain, sort of.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I wish I could have been part of that.
Yes, you just need to be in a real state and not New Jersey.
Tell me about it.
Also, in terms of very deliberate things, locations. So here's my thoughts about locations. A lot of times nowadays, films want to go to like the best possible. The tallest this, the brightest this, the bluish ocean, the brightest sky, the most stars. And because of that, every film looks identical to any of the novelty screensavers that change on my computer 300 times a day. Like, it's lost its intrigue and its character. These places were places that I'd never seen or really, like, been to before. They weren't, like, big, popular tourist destinations or anything like that. They were exactly appropriate for what they needed to be for the scene. They were perfect.
Yeah, like
not too much, not too little. Yeah,
go look at Quantum of Solace, the second Daniel Craig James Bond film. They go to a new location every 5 minutes. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Like, every 5 minutes is a new location just for him to learn one piece of information. Then he goes to somewhere else that's really, really popular as a tourist destination, and then he goes to the next place, and then he goes to the next place, and then he goes to the next place, and then the movie ends.
Quantum of Solace, Erin's screensaver with Daniel Craig is basically that film.
The only good Bond film with him is the first one. The rest are crap.
The first one I really did like, actually, because it felt so different.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've really rewatched it since the first time, though, so I'm very curious if I would feel the same.
Casino Royale still holds up. The other ones don't.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I loved Casino Royale.
Yeah, it also comparable to this because what's the most advanced piece of technology he gets in Casino Royale? Like the car, which has like a what is that called? The heart. What's that called? When he has to restart his heart, what's that?
Oh,
defibrillator.
Yeah.
That's the most exciting thing, a piece of technology he has. What's the most exciting thing that Gina Carano has in this film? She reads Michael Fassbender's text messages on his phone with her computer. That's it. That's the highest grade technology that they have. Phones.
Did you hear the rules for Bourne? Every gadget you see in the Bourne series really exists.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, that's the one thing I will say is practical.
Commercially. Yep, available commercially. Everything in that show, everything in those movies, you could buy if you wanted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Who was the big product placement? And was it Sony? Was the big product placement for Bourne? It was like the Vio laptop or something.
I think it was Sony. Yeah.
That sounds exactly like something Sony would do.
Fuck Sony. Seriously, fuck Sony.
Yeah.
You know what? I just realized this is also a reason why I hated Bloodshot so much. This movie's so fucking good. If they had applied this to Bloodshot, oh my god, the movie gets like 10,000 times better.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, stop shaking the camera. Get somebody that can actually do the action scenes.
Well,
a better Bloodshot movie than Bloodshot.
Why don't you just go make a Bloodshot
We
movie?
were going to! And then quarantine happens.
Oh my gosh.
We were going to. I was working on it. And then quarantine
Can I be in it? I've got so many costumes. Oh.
Okay. Oh, I have to set you on fire though.
No problem. Am I your villain?
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Make him a villain, he'd let you pretty much do anything.
Oh, I'd love to be your villain. Oh my god, I love it.
Okay, perfect.
He likes bleeding on camera because it's more authentic that way.
Oh, I took stage combat, and what I was best at was losing.
I mean, you were.
Oh yeah, the guy's like, he falls like a sack of shit every time, and I was like, I'm a martial artist, so I know how to fall in a fight, and I also go, I make these awful agonized, and they're like, oh my god, it's so much fun to throw him.
That's another thing I love.
So yeah,
that was something else I wanted to mention about Haywire is that the sound design is very quiet.
I was just going to say that.
Oh god,
so
there's no constant grunting or groaning whenever one is fighting each other. It's very, very quiet. I like that. It's the opposite of a Michael Bay movie.
For real. It's not afraid to use silence in many different ways. Like, a lot of times I feel like the only reason that films use silence nowadays is to artificially build tension in the least interesting way possible. But this was just like, there's nothing on the screen that needs to have a sound associated with it, ergo it will be quiet.
Yeah.
It's just simple.
Just look at the scene where the uninterrupted shot where she's backing up in the woods and then gets hit by a deer. No track behind that. It is just one long backup shot.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just no other action movie would do that. No one would have the stones to do that.
Or rather, a studio wouldn't allow that. Because they're like, why is nothing happening on screen? Things need to be happening. This is not a movie for dummies. That's the thing I can say, is that it's a movie made for smart people, because the plot is very convoluted if you really think about it. But in terms of like for a general audience, there's not really a lot of appeal to a general audience, but this is definitely for the people that wanted it. They got it and they loved it.
Yeah.
I think part of the issue that it probably saw is that a lot of people that are really interested in this type of film are not necessarily interested in this variety of protagonist, to put it gently.
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah.
I will watch Gina Carano in anything. And even though I will say that is one big negative of the film, is that her performance is kind of it's okay. It's all right.
She's very understated.
She was more charismatic than Matt Damon was in any of the Bourne movies.
I will say that is true. That is true. Yeah.
I would almost say that for the type of spy that she is, which is one that is not a honeypot or a Casanova-esque spy. She's not someone who's a charismatic spy. It feels very genuine. There is a veracity in her lack of emotiveness. So I almost think that kind of just like the way Keanu Reeves' acting works out really effectively in The Matrix, that this works out really effectively for similar reasons, where she's supposed to be this character whose reactions to things are not necessarily as, spy-y as spies normally are. It's nice seeing spies that aren't either the trope of the assassin or the trope as the I sleep my way into anything that I can't fight my way out of, pretty much.
I also like the fact
I don't wear the dress. That's what she said.
Yeah, like she doesn't have to walk into every scene wearing a crop top to show off that she's sexy. It's like, hey, by the way, better Bloodshot movie than Bloodshot.
Keep stealing my catchphrase.
At the risk of sounding too much like a troglodyte, was anyone else insanely jealous of Michael Fassbender getting choked out by her thighs?
Look, if you're gonna die in any way, that's a great way to go.
Oh my God, I've got a terrible story about being choked. Oh, Jesus.
Is that appropriate for here, or are we gonna put that on Pornhub?
Aaron show up to her.
If you don't mind hearing it, it's appropriate. I mean, I at one point said, I don't want to choke anyone because I'd be the one to screw it up and crush your hyoid bone and you'd die and I'd have to explain it. So, I would rather have you alive because that would make the statistical number of women in the world willing to fuck me not go down. So, literally, come with me if you want to live. Yes, I did all that to wind up to that pun, and I get this backlash. These women I thought I knew. Choke me till I come or die. There's a way of doing it properly, and it's A, B, C. They're like, there's a science to it, and they're like, you have to have safe words and drop objects, and I'm like, whoa, what? Like, lots of them, like 10 or 15 women. They're like, you have to do it right. If you fuck it up, you'll crush their bone. You got to study. You can't just do it. And I'm like, okay, I might have excluded myself from a few beds there, but I have to stick to my guns on this one. I'm the guy who'd fuck it up. I'm sorry. Oh yeah,
that's totally you.
I'm in jail.
Yep, that sounds like you.
Choke me. No. I did come up with an alternate idea. If it's about getting a high, all we have to do is get some pure oxygen and give you oxygen narcosis. That's what we want.
Yeah, that's
fine. They talk about that in Fight Club.
Oxygen.
They talk about that in Fight Club.
Yeah, I'll give you too much oxygen. I will not choke you.
They were trendy for a while, for a hot ass minute, and they were actually super fun. I would actually be down for a movie theater experience where you go there and you get high on oxygen while you watch films.
That's an interesting idea,
regardless of the quality of the film. Here's the thing.
We call it on the air.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. So you get a sealed mask that gives you oxygen throughout the course of it, and that is just sealed onto you, and you've got your own little oxygen container. So it's completely 100% COVID safe because you've got a sealed oxygen source of your very own.
That's an interesting idea.
Genius. Why do I make podcasts in my free time and not businesses? Oh, I'm lazy.
You have EDS and you're in too much pain to do anything that strenuous.
That's pretty much it.
So Bill Paxton is in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it, Rest in peace, Bill Paxton.
Yeah. I'm I'm sad. Why did you have to make me sad on my happy?
Because I wanted to get away from choking.
I have a Steven Soderbergh hot take.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's the man Robert Rodriguez wishes he was.
Yes.
Oh, solid ball.
God, yes.
Just he directs, edits, writes his own films. He can literally release a Netflix sensation film in the off time from this movie, like Jesse was mentioning earlier. I mean, is there anything the man can't do?
Not really. He's done everything. He was one of the first directors that was pushing using digital photography, like the Red camera, for a lot of his films.
Hasn't he done 3 iPhone movies
Yeah.
now?
Would not surprise me at this point. Yeah, he's done a lot.
Yeah, because it's more efficient to make something that's cheaper. Like put your money into your effects and your sound and your music and your actors, and then you can just because iPhones you can make great looking films on an iPhone. Look at Tangerine. It's not the best looking movie, but it's good because it's meant to be down and dirty. It's intentionally dirty.
Yeah, the majority of it's lighting and sound that makes any picture look better.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can get Red camera attachments for an iPhone.
True.
So you can make an iPhone camera.
I actually have those lens attachments for your phone. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You can actually do a significant quality out of just an iPhone nowadays. A lot of big YouTubers use them until they make enough money to actually purchase a real camera.
Yeah. I will say those early days of the Red camera when he was filming a lot of those early movies, they don't look so great because a lot of them are very, very dark looking because they didn't realize how the technology was supposed to work. So, I think what was the film, The Girlfriend Experience? It's very ugly. It's very dark. Visually, it's too dark to see what's going on. It's not the best looking movie. It's a fine film. It's okay. It's not his best work, but it's all right. It proved that Sasha Grey actually is a legitimately good actress and not just good at taking 3 cocks in her ass.
Why do we always end up there?
Oh, are you gonna be inappropriate, Jay? Oh no. Me?
Okay, it's the second episode of this particular podcast. We haven't had anybody be naughty yet. Thanks, Jesse. Good job.
It was
anyway,
well, for your information, it's really warm in my room, and I've taken off my Dr. Pepper T-shirt, so you can just live with that image. Oh yeah.
So you're Mr. Pibb fan?
Oh yeah.
I think typically another way that this goes against a typical Hollywood film of the current era is that a lot of times Hollywood really wants to put a leading actor that is a big name, that's a fairly strong actor, or at least just a big name with a big pool in audience to come in and support a film that's garbage. This is basically a film that is immaculate and careful and cautious and very clockwork feely. And yet, you know what? It's got a fairly. I mean, Gina's acting again, like we said, very understated.
Sometimes her intonation is a little bit off. It seemed like she was a little bit too. When she's in the diner in the opening of the film, it's you sound a little too upbeat for somebody that's on the run. Yeah, it doesn't sound quite right.
Apparently, some of her audio was dubbed by another actor.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Somebody else. Yeah. Somebody that has the same vocal intonation as her had to dub some of her lines because it wasn't the best performance. So.
I see.
Yeah, I've got an ear for ADR, and there was a couple times where it on screen popped out, specifically when she's in the car with Scott. I was like, oh, that's
not her.
Weird.
That's not her.
Do you think Soderbergh gets these cast by doing all of the shooting in 2 days? Because I feel like looking at this setup and the amount of scenes that all the ancillary cast was in, Bill Paxton, Antonio Banderas, did he have a week with each actor to just knock out their scenes real quick?
He shoots very fast. He's a very fast shooter. He doesn't like to take a lot of time. He's make it look as good as possible, but don't take the whole day on one shot. He's the opposite. He's the opposite of Christopher Nolan, who likes to spend way too much time on one thing. Yeah, and that's the reason I don't particularly care for Christopher Nolan. But I would prefer somebody who was faster but still got good footage. It doesn't have to look perfect. It shouldn't be it shouldn't have a bunch of scenes that are just okay looking and then one really great scene. The film should be the sum of all of its parts. So like everything doesn't have to look perfect, but if it's good enough to sustain the whole film and get you emotionally invested, that's fine. And I think that's what he's a very down and dirty director. He likes to shoot quick. He likes to get his shots done, and he likes to play around. He's not a perfectionist, and I appreciate that, because when you're a perfectionist, you end up blowing all of your budget.
Right.
It's amazing just the level of quality he can get out of acting as quick as he must like just plan very. Does he always work with the same cinematographer?
No, he changes around.
Yeah, that's shocking to me that it feels just so planned and precise for something that he filmed.
Well, he probably doesn't work with the same cinematographer because he likes to film constantly. So the cinematographers, they're usually working more intensely than the director is. So they probably need a break, or they've moved on to other projects. Cinematographers line up their projects like a year in advance.
Yep.
And here's another thing. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm a big Soderbergh geek. He does a lot of his own cinematography under a pseudonym.
Yeah, he actually does his own camera work.
Didn't know that.
Like, if you look at Peter Andrews,
that's him
in the cinematography for this movie. That's
it's just him.
That's not.
It's just him.
He was the one shooting the movie and directing it.
Why is he so much better than I am at everything?
Everything. I know.
There's literally no skill in my life, regardless of how I cannot urinate with the same efficiency and effectiveness of Steven Soderbergh making a film, and it's something that I probably do a solid 10 to 15 times a day.
But it shows his confidence as a director. Like, he knows what he wants, and he gets what he wants. You know who else shoots a lot of his own footage? Michael Bay. And his films look terrible. It's like the quality of the person dictates the quality of the film.
Damn.
Yeah, I called him out.
Jay, your hand is up, but you haven't said anything. So
I was waiting to be called on. I was going to refer to you said something about about the polish of the way it was all put together, and there's a practice in Hollywood now that you might know about that makes me miserable. Is for example, in Resident Evil Apocalypse, the studio shoots this action sequence where she crashes a motorcycle through a stained glass window.
That scene, the church.
And then they hand this to the director and say, put that in the movie.
Yeah.
And they're like, we haven't even written the script yet. Where? What does that have? No, we don't care. We've already shot it. We already spent the money. Put it in the film. And here's another 2. So that's why you get these weird, we're just going to stop and fight zombies here for a second. The plot's not going to go anywhere. It's going to go a few turns about the runabout before taking its exit, and just so we can get this fucking thing we spent so much money on. And I'm sure that Soderbergh's directing is immune to this.
Yeah. I mean, you can do, like the Marvel films do that.
You would seem to be impervious to that bullshit.
Yeah, the Marvel films tend to do that. They will come up with the action scenes first, and then they'll sort of wrap the story around it. But that's appropriate for that, because those films have lots of character, lots of personality. They don't look terrible. They look okay. I will say the Spider-Man movies look boring as fuck, but they are very, very dull filmmaking wise. They are very dull. But
they're also made by YouTubers.
Yeah,
like not kidding. John Watts got his start on YouTube. So if you look at it through that lens, he's kind of killing it.
Yeah, but that movie needs like a more sure-handed director, unfortunately.
How wild would it be if instead of the Black Widow movie we may eventually get sometime this year, next year, 2 years from now, who knows, was more like Haywire than it was an MCU film?
I would honestly, because I mean, at this point,
just call 1-800-YOU-WISH.
Yeah, but honestly, I've said multiple times.
I mean, while we're wishing on stars out here,
I've said multiple times, like, you know, if you apply this kind of style to any action film, it instantly makes it 10 times better because it's different. It's different. Yeah. Like, everything is center framed. It's very steady. It's very confident. It's very sure-handed. Like, you can see what the fuck's happening. Like, I would prefer more films were like this. You know, I mean, not have the same story, but the same kind of visual palette and the same style. You could, like, this film has perfect build of tension. You understand in general what's going on. It is a little, puzzling sometimes, trying to figure it all out. It doesn't really come to fruition until like the last scene of the film, but that's a great payoff.
Yeah, that's his style. Yeah, that's his style.
Yeah,
too.
Like I would prefer more big budget films did this, because like these Marvel movies cost like what, $200 million? Like, do they really need to cost that much? You're telling the same story, and you don't need to be this big. You really don't. Like, do we really need to see like a giant skydiving gunfight? Like, they did that and shoot them up, and it costs way less, and it looks fine.
Here's the thing. The more things you destroy and blow up, the more costumes and guns and ships you can fit in the film, which means the more toys you can market to children and man-children alike.
Yeah, and that's...
Wait a second.
That's all they care about.
Do you need us to explain capitalism to you again?
Fuck capitalism. It's why we're dying in America right now.
Do you? Yeah, so you already understand, right?
Black Widow coming to your video on demand later on this year.
God help us.
God. I really don't care.
It's probably already done. That's
No, it is done.
part.
It is done. It was supposed to be released today. It was supposed to come out like today, and they can't release it.
Oh, F's in the chat for Black Widow.
Yeah.
I mean, that other person that was in that movie that wasn't Scarlett Johansson had me real happy about it. God, what is the freaking person's name?
Oh, from Midsommar. What is her name?
Florence Pugh.
There you go.
Okay, yeah.
She's kind of killing it right now.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah, I was pretty much going to watch it for her. I don't know. I really wish they would just not. I love Black Widow. Not a fan of Scarlett Johansson. Just meh, not my fave.
The reason this movie exists is to set up Florence Pugh as the next Black Widow.
That's fortunate because I'm just kind of over ScarJo.
Yeah, so am I.
If you were remaking this movie today, now, I mean, what is this, like 10 years old? What was this? 2011? 10 years have passed. A fair amount of things have changed in the industry. What changes would you make today to modernize this film while keeping it true to its original vision? Would you change anything at all?
I mean, isn't the...
Starring Aubrey Plaza.
Dude, that's actually not a bad idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of timeless.
It is timeless.
It's all it's throwbacks to 70s filmmaking, like we said at the top. Really, like, what would date this film? None of the cars are particularly
the BlackBerry.
That's
noteworthy. Maybe like
that does kind of date.
Yeah,
that's it.
Remember back when BlackBerries were the thing?
They thought BlackBerry was going to happen.
I really don't think you could really remake this. I think it's kind of timeless in and of itself. Yeah. I don't know what you could do. Change maybe not a remake, but a sequel.
Ooh.
Yeah, not Haywire, call it Livewire or something like that.
I'd watch a sequel to this.
What happened to Mallory after she moved into working with the government? What happened? Because that's Michael Douglas' thing, is that we'll clear your name if you come to work for us. So he kind of blackmails her into working for them.
I think that is what I would change. I would probably change... I think if this film released today, it would probably be a completely different
it would be her against the government.
Well, nostalgia culture is really big already. So it would pass on that, and it would pass on the whole, having a badass lady as a great, strong female character. That's always good. We love that. And I don't know. It's just simple in a way that's really appealing. It checks a lot of boxes for things that are a certain aesthetic and mentality that are very popular right now. So I almost think if this released now, this would probably launch a actual franchise that we could see more of Mallory Kane. And I think that's what I would change about this film, just releasing it now. I think that's literally...
Yeah,
I think to do it now, you'd have to release it as a miniseries.
Oh, I'd watch the fuck out of a Mallory Kane Amazon series.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
They're doing that with Snowpiercer. They're doing that with.
I'm very intrigued by Snowpiercer. I'm not going to lie.
Have you seen the movie?
Yes.
I have not.
Holy shit.
Oh, the movie's great.
I know, right?
Movie's great.
I've never seen anything like it. The ending is stupid, but I have never seen anything like it.
Whenever it gets to be my pick, I might pick Snowpiercer.
Really?
I'm down. Yeah. I am down.
Yeah, it's a great looking film. It's nothing like the comics is based on, but it's really good.
Right.
I think Aubrey Plaza would be a good modern casting. And I'm trying to think, like, she could have so many good adventures. It really maddens me that this character was only shown to the world once, because I felt like this character had they had set it up with tremendous sequel potential. There were still a lot of people that were potential enemies of hers that, could have come back and like gotten her later, and you know, they could have expanded upon the visual aesthetic, maybe made it a little bit later in the era that they had originally pulled from, and pulled in some of the elements, you know, of some of the like late 70s, almost early 80s films as well. I just, it frustrates me when I see a film that is this good, that just has actual sequel potential. Because you know my thing, I like when a film that's a first film in a series starts out someplace very modest, so you have plenty of room to grow. And this had a lot of room to grow.
Jesse's gonna kill me for this, but I'm a big fan of early 90s television TV shows.
Me too.
Okay.
Television TV shows.
Yeah.
Well, my God.
Like
television.
I don't. That's fine. Okay. I mean, I like MacGyver. That was fine.
Well, I was gonna make an early edition.
Oh, God damn it! Did it again.
You don't like early edition?
No, I love early edition.
It's a thing that we have on the show now. Anytime he gets a chance, he tries to mention early edition.
But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to mention another show that I love from the 90s called The Pretender. Do you guys remember The Pretender?
I remember The Pretender. Yeah, I remember that.
I kind of remember it, yeah.
The basic premise was this guy's a ex-Black Ops operative kind of guy running away from the program that created him, and so he pretends to be other people to hide from this
that's cool.
seedy government agency. It's got like hints of Twin Peaks and X-Files in the background, but not really.
Yeah. A good comparison, I think, here is Burn Notice.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that show.
Yeah, it went on way too long, but it's a good show.
I like that show a lot. Yeah, I got
anything with Bruce Campbell.
But the beginning was super good. Like the first few seasons of Burn Notice were really good. Oh my gosh, like this character, like they should relaunch her now and have her go up against the government. Like have it be like, I've been working against the government, and give her a protege or two. And
let's have a Haywire spycraft game.
I am super just nostalgic for very scoped films. I think just very films that don't try to be more than they need to be. I guess it's weird. I'm like, and I'm maybe all of these Marvel films have burned me out on over the top, and like simplicity is really what I needed. This is a good film. It was a really good suggestion, Jesse. I was a little skeptical at first because I'm like, what even am I watching? I don't understand the plot, and it looks like 1970, but it's not. but
then you get to the action scene where she kills Michael Fassbender, and you're like, okay, I'm in.
Good night,
oh my God, no. Before that, when she runs up that wall to pin the guy to the ground after the chase scene, that's a move I've never seen in film before or since. And what the fuck? That was amazing.
Those long shots when she's doing the like climb up the wall flips and stuff like that. Like your actor has to actually be able to physically deliver in that circumstance.
That's why Gina Carano was cast. She physically can do this stuff. Yeah, and she's gotten better as an actress. She's good on Mandalorian. She's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So she could totally come back for a sequel. This definitely has a sequel.
Has Soderbergh ever done sequels aside from the Ocean's trilogy? Has he done sequels?
No, he has not.
He was supposed to do a sequel to Logan Lucky, and that movie didn't make any money at all.
Oh, that's so sad because it's so fucking good, too.
Yeah, it's really good. That wasn't my favorite of the year, but it was pretty good. It was fun. Yeah. A heist movie, but it's done as a goofy comedy with hillbillies. Daniel Craig as a hillbilly Joe Bang. Oh, it was great.
He's having his heyday of like character acting, and I love that for him.
You know what I kind of want to fix? Meet Joe Dirt.
Oh God, no!
You're just gonna pitch Tiger King.
You just fired yourself, Erin.
Fire me! I'm an executive producer.
You just lost your job.
Are you talking about Joe Dirt or Meet Joe Black? You sound like have kind
of...
you know what? That's an interesting movie right there that I just invented. I meant Joe Dirt, but
Wait, Meet Joe Black. I know the name, but I can't think of the movie for the...
Brad Pitt, Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, the Phantom Menace movie.
Yeah. Is he like a ghost or something like that in that movie or something like that?
He's the new Grim Reaper.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's right. Jesus.
This is really a refreshing film, or really, hold on a second, get my brain back on board, Erin. Hold on 1 second. I had a question, and I just forgot it, and I need to think of it before I can say it. Okay. This is a very familiar film, but yet it still manages to feel fairly refreshing, even watching it 10 years after it came out, and I'm curious if you guys have any theories as to why that is. What is it about this film that breaks the mold that it is cast from and makes it something better?
It's confident.
Yeah.
There's no bullshit.
You have to be smart to understand it. You can't be a dummy to watch this movie.
Yeah.
I can tell you why I think this works and recent films that you would compare it to don't. I would like to point the jury to The Bourne Legacy.
Oh, God.
I didn't see it. You're going to have to fill me and the viewers in. I didn't see what happened.
The fourth film in the series that they got rid of Matt Damon and cast Jeremy Renner.
And they used Jeremy Renner or some shit.
It was a side story that takes place during the events of 2 and 3, but it doesn't... it's kind of like backstory for that world, but it's bad.
You know what they should have called that movie? Born Yesterday.
And then what was the name of the what was the name of the fifth one?
Just Jason Bourne.
Oh yeah.
It was no longer about like the fact that he did join Treadstone, as the why he joined Treadstone. Nobody cared because it was like the Bourne series was burned out at that point.
Yeah.
They're doing what the video game industry is doing. Yeah. God of War 1, God of War 2, God of War 3, God of War 4, God of War.
Yep.
We're back again.
And then you got Ascension, and you got
Reboot.
Reboot it.
Reboot.
You run out of like
Prince of Persia 1, Prince of Persia 2, Prince of Persia 3, Prince of Persia. Ha!
When you run out of extra like words to put after your movie title, and your movie title is just your character's name, you've kind of given up. It's like or you're being really pretentious. It's like if any album but your first album is your self-titled album, it better be an absolute banger, or you're pretentious AF.
I know, but can we please stop putting redemption at the end of a movie, please?
Oh, maybe you have a Montressor Media official list of like. I don't want to say cinema sins because that's a thing.
We do not mention that name around here.
Disapproved. I'll censor it in the recording. It disapproved of tropes and taglines because we are assembling quite a list, and I'd like to track it.
Any film that has a subtitle that starts with an R, Redemption, Revelation,
Reloaded.
Any film that has that, you're on the shit list. With the exception of The Raid Redemption, because that's technically just The Raid. It was called The Raid Redemption over here in America because they didn't know how to title it.
Yeah. Any Star Trek film without a colon in the title has the quality of things that come out of a colon in your butt.
But Star Trek Into Darkness has no colon. It looks like it came from a colon because it is shit.
Ow. Colon.
It's a secret colon. Yeah. The point I was going to make about the Jason Bourne thing is the reason the first three kind of hold up and the reason the newer ones don't is because at some point it switches from this is a burned agent against the people that were important to them, and then it turns into this is a burned agent against technology.
Yeah.
And anytime you turn things against technology, you are instantly stuck to when that technology came out.
It dates itself.
Yeah. And Haywire doesn't do that because it's all about ex-boyfriends, ex-husbands, flings in Barcelona. Like, it's all about the character interactions.
And I think the gender swap actually makes a big difference in this because of the genders are still handled in a very heteronormative way in this film, obviously. So you are normally seeing in spy films very the man's side of a relationship with, women are fairly disposable. There's not really a long-term commitment. A lot of times they end up dead because the man's work is very dangerous. They're mostly there to be pretty. They're not really there to be cerebral. Whereas when you're looking at from a woman's side, the other partner in the relationship is somebody. Well, she's actually got two. You've got the fake one who kind of fills the traditional Bond lady male analog, and then you've got the ex-husband who's in the serious long-term relationship, and they have a very high level of involvement with each other from an emotional standpoint, and he's not just a throwaway character, and he does stick around for a long time, and he is an important part of the plot. Jay, what would you like to say?
Have any of you guys seen Closer?
Oh, the Clive Owen, Natalie Portman movie?
No, it's the Netflix thing about this woman who's a fixer or something. She's a little like Mallory Kane, and she's escorting another it's two, like one woman's a spy and the other woman's just a civilian, and
she's awful.
It's awful.
I thought so.
Really? Oh, I had such high hopes for it. And after talking about this tonight, I was like, hey, why don't we watch Closer next?
Have you not seen it?
I have not seen it.
It's one of the lost episodes of Film Rescue because Devin and I started it and we were like, this is terrible. No.
How many of those?
We'll let a guest
how many of those on the chopping block
couldn't...
have now been just like, no, we can't fix it?
Glass and Death Wish and we did put out Six Underground eventually. So there's probably 4 or 5 that I have just files sitting around for that I'm like, nah, I'll let a guest do it.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, in terms of like the fact that the main character of this film is a woman, like everyone says, oh, well, she's not going to hit on the guy or have sex with the guy. No, she wants to fuck Channing Tatum like right away when she sees him. Like that was great.
I mean,
like you're like, oh no, she's going to be like, passive and not really be attracted to him. No, she wants him and her right now.
I have a question. Yeah. Did they fridge Channing Tatum?
Yes, they did, and it's great. But he only gets fridged right when he realizes that he's actually been set up.
Yeah.
Right when he's like, oh my god, what did I do? And then boom, Ewan McGregor kills him. Yeah. It's a great switch. If it was a woman in that role, it'd be like, oh, that's horrible, it's offensive. But if it's a male in that role, it's like, oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, the gender politics are very interesting in this film.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I think that's part of why it feels so fresh. And but they didn't. It's not like in your face. Like,
right.
It's so hard to be a spy as a woman, which I think is the way a lot of films go bad when they try to diversify. They make all of the problems about the gender, very gender-specific problems. These are the same problems that men face if they're spies or if they're in marriages with their spy master, employer, husband, I guess. I don't know how... This might be oddly specific and circumstantial to this one group, but there's nothing super gendered about this. This is just the relationship and the spying stuff from as the way the lady experiences it.
I'm going to add this to my list of unsung like great feminist movies along the lines of like Annihilation.
Yeah.
Just movies that got slept on that really kicked ass without like tooting their own horn.
Yeah, it's the opposite of something like Ghostbusters 2016. Where it's like it's right. Feminist because hey, all the men are dumb and all the women are awesome.
All the women are very poorly written.
The women are poorly written in that film. It's the women are also incredibly dumb because they don't behave like actual rational people. Like, here's how how you make a feminist film. You just portray the characters as human. That's it. That's all it takes.
Let a woman write it.
That's literally all it takes.
Who did write this film?
It wasn't Soderbergh. It was Lem Dobbs.
Why don't we have the IMDb open right now? We should.
I always do, Jay. I always do.
I do.
But the same guy that wrote this also wrote Dark City. Yeah.
Yep.
I love Dark City.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love
He
Dark
also
City.
wrote one of my other favorite Soderbergh films, The Limey, with
I love The Limey.
That's a great take upon like
my god, it's such a great movie.
It's a unique take upon the revenge film. It's great.
You tell him I'm coming. You tell him I'm fucking coming.
And the fact that you don't actually
don't
see him actually shoot those people. He just walks in and it just holds on him on like the garage door, and you just hear the gunshots, and then one guy runs out. Oh, it's great.
No, they beat the shit out of him and throw him out. And he stands there, he looks kind of in the distance, pulls another gun out, and walks back inside and shoots everyone but one guy. Yeah. You tell him I'm coming! You tell him I'm fucking coming! Oh, it's so good.
You have to be a really confident filmmaker to put that level of minimalism in your films. Like, you have to be certain... I mean, I think that's where Soderbergh does really well. He is so confident that he can strip everything down to just the minimal that you need. The minimum plot elements and twists and narrative devices. Like, everything is just stripped away as much as possible so you just have art left.
Yeah.
He really relies on his audience to have a memory.
Mm-hmm.
Not just be smart, because like he kind of sums up his whole movie at the end of all of his movies.
The last scene is usually where everything comes to a head. Then you have to go back and rewatch it again, and then you're like, oh, okay. Like even the ocean films, which are kind of like the most simplistic of all of his films, like they're still very complex in terms of how they're structured.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he's editing in his head as he's shooting, which is something I just respect the fuck out of.
That's a skill as a director, of real skill. You can tell that he is definitely one of those people that went to film school during a very old school time, or he worked his way up one way or the other, but he obviously is very well trained and well versed on every aspect of filmmaking.
But what's weird is that he breaks every rule. Like, oh, you need to have an establishing shot before you start your scene. Bullshit. No, you don't. Fuck that. You don't fucking need an establishing shot. It's like here's, not to go back to this, but Zack Snyder, you don't need establishing shots in your scenes. Like, well, in that film you do. In BVS you do. But if it was a better director that had a better, more confident, sure-handed design, you could get away with that.
Yeah.
But because there's not really a lot of confidence in that film, and it's just relying upon fandom to carry itself, it completely falls apart. Whereas if it was like Soderbergh directing BVS, oh my god, the movie might have worked.
This is true.
Yeah, it's like you can get away with like breaking the rules. Like he breaks the 180-degree rule. He will not have establishing shots. He will do like a lot of close-ups. He'll have people talking but not showing their mouths move. He'll do non-diegetic soundtracks all the time. But Limey is like half the movie is non-diegetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's great.
I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't even remember it until I was rewatching the if you want to call it a fight scene, the scene where Ewan McGregor gets the shit kicked out of him.
Oh yeah, and she just runs into frame. It's like, oh my god, there she comes.
Yeah, and then when he's on the ground and she's like beating on him, the camera doesn't switch 180. It's like opposite sides of his shoulder.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's disoriented, therefore we're disoriented.
Choices. Yeah, that so good. Oh my god, so good.
And I love that he didn't linger on any of the fight scenes. Like the fight scene between her and the ex, that could have just like some of these scenes just could have been drug on so long and would have been drug on so long because she's beating up this guy who screwed her over emotionally. Okay, now she's beating up this other guy who screwed her over emotionally, and okay. Like they could just like make these scenes into like these big epic fight scenes that they don't need to be, but they're just it's just everything exactly as it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, was she even screwed over emotionally, or was she just using these guys for sex?
Ooh, solid. Ooh, I like that angle.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's Channing Tatum. He's fucking hot. Jump his bones and then dump him.
I mean, can I do it more than once, or do I have to like juice right away?
Hey, listen, editing edits around real time, so who knows? I mean, there's spies with some real cardio work.
Yeah.
Do we need to explain to the viewers what diegetic means, or are they as cool as us?
Yeah, let's go ahead and discuss it real quick.
Yeah, that's sure.
You want me to do it, or you want to do it?
You can. You're the guest. You can do it. I mean, we know what it is.
Okay. Diegetic means it exists in the story space. The soundtrack playing, the characters can't hear it. It doesn't exist in the story space. It's non-diegetic. But in The Wizard of Oz, they go out in the field and the music plays and they look up like, oh, we hear music. Now it's diegetic.
Yeah.
And it's kind of getting, it's that. So subtitles, for instance, non-diegetic, not really happening there. Some crazy edits, but diegetic means exists within the story space and the characters can see and hear it.
Unless it's cunt written on Jason Statham's forehead. That's the diegetic subtitle.
We gotta talk about the Crank movies at some point. Both of them. It's a double feature. Oh, we gotta.
Jesse, let's just make another spinoff from this show that's us talking about like movies that could be taken as bad or good that we just love.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Oh,
if you're easily offended, you'll hate the Crank movies.
Crank.
Great, amazing movies here. I mean, for me, like, I think the show was about movies that, like, had an impact on us in the past and then also still have an impact on us now, and kind of looking at, like, how our impression of them changed over time, things like that. But I'm open to guilty pleasure films in any and all ways.
Well, in that case, I'm going to switch out Snowpiercer for Crank 1 and 2. We got to do them both.
We're going to do 2 in an hour?
100%. They're the same movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm supposed to be on another podcast next Wednesday, and we're talking with one of the actors from that show. So, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the Below the Belt podcast. We're supposed to talk with one of the actors on that show.
Best bad movie ever, man.
So, Snowpiercer?
No.
Oh, great. Oh, I wouldn't say they're bad, but they definitely have aged. They have not aged well.
They're a little like Hardcore Henry. They're like really.
They were of their
top.
time. They were like young filmmakers just trying to make something, really quick and dirty.
I'm glad they exist.
I'm glad they exist.
It was fun.
They're
though.
fun. Second one is a lot more fun than the first one, though. First one doesn't really hold up.
Yeah. I'll agree with you there.
Anyone have any final thoughts about the film Haywire?
I think we've covered everything. I will say I wish Michael Fassbender was in this movie a little bit longer. Remember when he was in good movies? He has not been in a good film in the longest time.
It was a long time ago. I was going to say it was a long time ago.
What was that movie? There was this is a weird, it won't be a long tangent, but it's a weird one. Do you guys remember that movie that came out in like the mid 2010s where Charlie, it's not Charlize Theron. Michael Fassbender was in it, and it was like a big director that did it, but it was a really odd movie where a lady has like an orgasm on her windshield to make like a...
Oh, The Counselor.
The Counselor! That's it!
Fuck that piece of shit!
I saw that in
That was
theaters.
written by Cormac McCarthy. That was Cormac McCarthy. One of the greatest writers ever wrote that. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this?
Ridley Scott directed it. It was Cameron Diaz. That's who has the orgasm on the car.
Yeah, she has an orgasm. She masturbates on a hood of a car and orgasms on the windshield. And I'm like, what is this garbage?
Ridley Scott. My man.
He has made, 4 good movies? Everything else is crap.
Why don't we watch movies like that for
Cormac
the other
McCarthy?
podcast?
Oh, dude, I'd fix The Counselor.
Oh, go ahead. It's all you, man.
It's a weird movie.
Yeah.
An extended list of films too. All right, Jay. As we sign off here, is there anything that you would like to self-promote? Any social media or anything? You're selling anything? Participating anything?
Oh my God. I'm a model. I make flowers and clothes. I'm an actor. I'm a stuntman. What do we want to do? But what I actually had a question about the film is like.
Oh, sorry.
If we say we really love the film, and it sounds like we do, where else can we go to get this juice? Like, there's no sequel to Haywire, but if you want more, what else can you watch? What did you see that was even remotely like this?
Good question.
Fury Road. Mad Max Fury Road. If you want to see really good action, Mad Max Fury Road. Like, it's the same.
But is it in the same vein as Haywire?
I would say action-wise, because it's very sure-handed and very confident. I mean, it's over the top, but in terms of the visual style, like everything is center framed, it's edited perfectly. It's like,
yeah, but you've got the flamethrower guitar. Come on, we got to have something like
one's minimalist and one's maximalist. Let's be real.
Maybe the first Jason Bourne film, The Bourne Identity, is kind of like this.
How about The Departed?
Yeah.
How about The Departed?
Yeah.
The Departed. Yeah,
I could see that.
I could do that as a companion piece to this.
I can see that. Yeah.
Ooh, I have a really good one. Sure. Colombiana.
How do I don't know it?
Yeah. It's like a. Was it like Mexican Punisher?
Wow. That's cool.
I also saw that one in theaters.
It's not a great movie, but it's got some good action. Got some good stuff in it.
I like that one.
It's fun. I didn't say it was a bad film. I thought it was just like it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twice the budget of this film, by the way. Twice the budget.
Wow.
Seriously? What the?
Yeah.
Why? How does this movie look better?
Seth, did you stop talking or did your mic go out?
We had this problem last time. Oh, Seth, are you there?
Seth's
we had this problem last time. Yeah.
Internet's garbage.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Usually about after an hour we lose the audio or something like that, but we still have Seth's audio track for a while. But I think that'll be the end of it.
Yeah.
And we cut off Seth.
Fair enough. And we cut off Seth. Anyway, Jay, where can you be found on social media? I'm just going to edit this so it's in the right chronological order, but just pretend, give me like an actual social media account, like your Instagram or something like that people can find you at.
My Instagram is the red guy.
Cool deal. Jesse, where can we find you?
Instagram, hardcore B-shot. I'm not posting a lot because we're all in quarantine and there's not much going on these days.
And Seth, tell me in chat what you want to pimp it and how you want to pimp it, and I'll just say it for you. Within reason. Let me put some restrictions on that.
We had this problem last time.
Still waiting.
Oh, jeez.
Same as the first. All right, I'm just gonna. Where is he at?
Seth can promote himself. Look, Montressor Media is probably where you'll find him.
He has I love the magic of editing.
Hey, we lost Seth.
Which I should still get his audio track at the end. You can find Seth Decker at Seth X Decker on every service that he cares about. You're gonna have to figure out those services on your own. It'll be a magical fairy treasure hunt with a Seth prize at the end.
I'm back.
There he is.
I mean,
welcome back.
Better than you ever.
I don't know what happened.
I've never had a magical fairy treasure hunt before.
I saw my line flat line. I was like, well, I guess they can't hear me anymore.
Nope.
What were you trying to say when you went dead anyway?
I don't fucking remember. It doesn't
matter.
Matter.
Fair enough. Well, my name is Erin. You can find me at Erin Moriarty YT on pretty much everything, every social media that matters. Again, Magical Fairy Treasure Hunt. And this is the Palate Cleanser Podcast, which will eventually have a Twitter that I will promote on my own Twitter account when it has a Twitter. Thank you so very much for listening, and tune in less time when we have sex with women. No, tune in.
Hey!
What did I say next time? You guys wouldn't be invited to less time. It becomes by time if you invite the men.
Oh, I'll just send a webcam over. It's fine. Not worried about it.
Anyhow, have a wonderful day, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.